Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charleston, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have another interesting episode for you guys. You definitely want to stick around for us, so make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So this is a pretty interesting topic here to cover, right? I'm not sure, some people, I don't know if anyone out there has really covered it, but I think it's something pretty interesting to talk about. So let's talk about the Lakers for a second. Let's talk about the state of affairs with the Lakers. As y'all know, last season was a major disappointment. They were the team that was picked to represent the Western Conference, and obviously we all know how that ended. They didn't even end up making it into the play-in tournament. Anthony Davis missed about 50% of the games. Russell Westbrook played about 85+% of the games. He was a non-factor, and LeBron played about 60% of the games, and he wasn't able to help that team get over 33 wins in that season. And in fact, I think they went on a 2 or 3 game winning streak when they sat down their stars at the end of the season. So last season was a total disaster. Obviously, the Lakers then went on to fire their head coach in Frank Vogel, who was 2 years removed from help coaching that team to an NBA championship. So there was that. Obviously now, since the end of the season, the major talk around the Lakers has been, will they be able to trade Russell Westbrook? Obviously, he decided to pick up his player option for that $47 million. And a lot of people are out there speculating, will the Lakers start the season with Russell Westbrook on their roster? A popular trade package or scenario that's been thrown out there is the Russell Westbrook, Kyrie Irving package. Obviously, given the way things have kind of, totally degenerated with the Brooklyn Nets. And, given, the news that, KD says he wants to leave, and then given the fact that the Lakers want to upgrade from the point guard position after witnessing what they witnessed last season, Kyrie Irving has been the lead candidate for the Lakers in terms of a person that they want to pursue in terms of trading him for Kyrie Irving. But then we get this news, right? And this news has everything to do with this upcoming season, and it has a lot to do with a very important player on that Lakers roster, which is Anthony Davis. But before we get into it, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards, only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So let me get into this article here and let's see what it had to say. And we're reading this from fadeawayworld.net. Basically, the article, the headline is NBA rumors Rasheed Wallace will no longer join Lakers coaching staff. The article continues on. Just weeks into his tenure as Lakers head coach, Darvin Ham has been doing everything in his power to support his players and protect his team. Unfortunately, he was seemingly unable to keep his own coaching staff together. According to The Athletic, former NBA star Rasheed Wallace will no longer be joining the Lakers as an assistant coach after being announced as a future staff member earlier this month. After further conversations, former NBA All-Star Rasheed Wallace will no longer join the new Lakers coach Darvin Ham's staff. Sources said Wallace served as an assistant under Penny Hardaway at the University of Memphis last season. What does this mean? What does this news mean for Anthony Davis, right? Because really this is what this is all about, right? Rasheed Wallace was supposed to be a guy that was going to come in, work with Anthony Davis. I'm also assuming work with him probably on some basketball things, but also work with him from the mental aspect of playing basketball. And this is actually something that happens quite often. Excuse me. I was actually watching, I just finished watching the recent race with Formula One. I believe they were in France. I don't remember where it was anyway. During that race, For those of you who follow the race, Charles Leclerc, who's the lead driver for Ferrari, I don't remember what lap it was, like maybe halfway through the race, more than halfway through the race, he made a mistake, right? He made a mistake, spun out, crashed into the barriers, right? And at the end of the race, he was talking about the mistakes and blunders that he made. And after, following some of the reporting, essentially what I got to hear was that a former Formula One driver who was very successful in his own career was actually brought in by Ferrari to basically be like a motivator, right? A guy to talk to him, to stay in his ear, to keep him motivated, just help him kind of, get through the entire Formula One season, right? So this is not something that's foreign in sports, right? This is actually, it's not an anomaly. What they're doing with Anthony Davis is actually something that happens across the board in sports. And I was actually quite surprised to hear that. So, I believe that was one of the roles that Rasheed Wallace was meant to fulfill, with him joining Darvin Ham's coaching staff, right? And I think this is very important news because Anthony Davis is an integral part of this team, right? And he needs to be 100% available and he needs to be firing on all cylinders for this team to be successful. As I said last season, Anthony Davis only played 40 games, right? So he missed half of the season with injuries, and y'all know the infamous video that was out there earlier maybe a month or so ago, and probably in April, when he said that he hasn't picked up a basketball in I don't know what it is, 3 months or whatever. 2-3 weeks or whatever it is. That got a lot of people annoyed because a lot of people are frustrated, especially athletes, former athletes. They're basically saying that Anthony Davis is probably doing something wrong with his training, right? So for him to come out there and say that, because he said that's what he always does, and they're like, AD, you need to try something different, right? Because clearly what you've been doing hasn't been working. As I said, he only played 40 games last season. He scored 23 points per game. His field goal shooting was fine at 53%, but he's a big, so you expect that. 3-point shooting dropped by 8%. He shot 18.6% from the 3-point line. Free throw shooting dropped again. He was shooting 71% from the line. He got you 9.9 rebounds, 3.1 assists. But really, Anthony Davis's numbers were not impactful. They didn't really have an effect on winning, right? And that's really the biggest issue that the Lakers need to remedy. They need to win more games, right? They had 33 wins last season. And if they go into this season with with a similar record, it's going to be a disaster, right? So that's the first thing. So AD needs to be able to play more games this season, and he needs to be focused, and he needs to be a factor. And I think that's what Rasheed Wallace was going to give him. So now that we're getting the news that he's no longer going to be a part of that coaching staff, I can't see how that's good news, right? That is not good news if you're a Lakers fan and you're an Anthony Davis fan. And you also have to factor in this, given the fact that this news came out, and we also haven't gotten a definitive decision on what LeBron James is going to do, because he hasn't signed his extension. I think this is the last year he's under contract with the Lakers. So there are a lot of things that need to be fixed, going into the season. And of course, you have a rookie head coach in Darvin Ham, and he's unproven, right? He's unproven. But of course, maybe the Lakers were looking at something like, a situation that happened with Ime Udoka with the Boston Celtics, and maybe thought, okay, maybe we could replicate what the Boston Celtics were able to replicate with that group of guys. But it's a totally different unit of players, although they were underperforming prior to him getting there under Brad Stevens. So to me, I think that it just brings more questions than answers. And really, the question to the audience is, what do you think? What do you think about this news, and how do you think this plays out going into the season? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we catch y'all in the next episode. Peace.